Welcome to the Den, the Dark Entertainment Network. I am the Gothic Rose, and I am here live on TikTok. It is 7 p.m. Wednesday, and it is the 11th of December today, and I am here every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you missed this, you can catch up on Spotify and YouTube, where I also host the Daily Dive in 5, and that gives you all of the news I am interested in, the dark news at least, in 5 minutes ish. You can also write to me at welcometotheden@gmail.com if you have a terrifying tale you would like to share. Now, tonight, I am excited to talk about these drones over New Jersey because the White House has just been briefed by the Pentagon. So I want to backtrack just a little bit first because I did speak about this, but there was supposed to be that battle in the sky. And it said on December 3rd. But what if it wasn't on December 3rd? What if it began December 3rd? Because now we're seeing all of these things in the sky. Now, of course, this is just speculation and, of course, for entertainment purposes only. But you know how much I love to discuss conspiracy theories and not just discuss them, but either prove or debunk them as we go. But this is just so interesting because we're seeing so many drones in the sky now. So, the man who predicted the alien battle in the sky is Cliff High, a computer scientist and linguist. He created a predictive system called WebBot, which analyzes internet chatter to forecast future events. In 2009, he predicted that an alien invasion would occur 39 days after a temporal marker, which he identified as, oddly enough, in 2009, he identified this temporal marker as President-elect Donald Trump's interview with Joe Rogan on October 25th, 2024. So, according to Cliff High, this alien battle would begin on December 3rd, 2024. Now we're into December, it's the 11th, and we're seeing drones and all sorts of activity in the sky. And this time it's been over New Jersey, Staten Island, and Philadelphia. It is absolutely incredible to see these drones and to now know that the White House is has been briefed on this. I'm just amazed. So yeah, I'm live tonight. I am live talking about the drones here on TikTok, and of course you can catch up on Spotify and YouTube. So I'm talking and I'm really just overwhelmed with how is this happening? How in 2009, right? In 2009, Joe Rogan hosted Fear Factor. In 2009, Donald Trump hosted The Apprentice. I believe those were both NBC shows. Oh, let's do a live dive, you guys. Was The Apprentice and I can't type. And what did I say? Oh, Fear Factor on NBC. Maybe there's a connection. Yes. Fear Factor was on NBC, and so was The Apprentice. So Fear Factor ran from 2001 to 2006, and it was initially hosted by comedian Joe Rogan. Was a comedian and UFC commentator Joe Rogan. And then The Apprentice ran in various forms across 15 seasons. And it says this was from 2004 to 2017. So I guess some of the shows stayed on in syndication past the first presidency. Interesting, interesting. So I find it interesting now. Let's just, get into a little conspiracy theory here a little bit. And please, please take this with a grain of salt. I encourage free speech and free thinking. So just take this with a grain of salt. But these two men who in 2009 they were predicted to have a conversation in 2024 that would lead to this alien battle in the sky. And neither one of them were anything other than television hosts. And I'm getting a comment here. Joe Rogan disliked Trump for years. Yeah, yeah. It's very interesting to me how they've all ish talked each other, but they all still seem to be in that little bit of a boys club that, a lot of us will never get in. And I find that interesting too. But it's so interesting to me that this forecast, this predictive system, WebBot, picked up on these two hosts from NBC shows, and they were both on the air at the same time, as being the temporal marker for their conversation, which happened to be on Joe Rogan's podcast, which at the time and until recently has been the number one podcast on Spotify, maybe in the country, and it's been taken over now. But it's amazing to me how these two men who both worked for NBC were the temporal marker, and no one could have ever predicted those two men ever being in the same room, except for the fact that they both are into UFC and WWE. So they're both into the fighting. So I guess that's a connection. But other than that, they were just at the time two just A-list celebrities hanging out, not like A plus, A plus plus. Interesting stuff. But this prediction by Cliff High suggests that this alien, and he called it an invasion, would begin on December 3rd. And it would involve a battle in the sky between humans and aliens. And now we literally have all of these drones in the sky, and we don't know which are ours and which aren't. So he describes this event as visible contention that would eventually lead to a melee. According to Cliff High, the WebBot detected language patterns indicating that UFOs would be involved in this confrontation, either fighting other UFOs or engaging with military jets. What an incredible prediction. Now, obviously, this has garnered significant attention and speculation and also skepticism. So some people are viewing his predictions as pseudoscientific and too vague to be meaningful. But as someone who reads tarot cards, a lot of messages are just vague, because if we had the message spelled out right, we wouldn't learn anything from it. And that's just my little bit of wisdom there. Now, you guys know I love the New York Post. Their politics are a bit more right-wing than I am, but I am a true New Yorker, so I cannot leave the New York Post ever. And their article is just incredible about this. So the mysterious drones that have been tormenting New Jersey residents for weeks could be part of a top secret government program, security experts told the Post on Tuesday, as lawmakers push for answers over troubling sightings. Now, This article was published today, December 11th at 8 a.m., and it was written by Steve Janoski. So it says the feds have been mum about the daily drone activity in Morris, Passaic, Bergen, and Hunterdon counties beyond since these gizmos were first spotted on November 18th. So this has been going on for quite some time. So almost a month. But several experts said the US government might be behind these unsettling flights, which could be part of a super secret military program meant to test new hardware before it hits the battlefield. Well, it's not so secret if everyone's putting it on camera, you know? See you soon. So I love when you guys say hi and bye to me when I'm on my lives. I love it. I love it. Have a great night. So what they're saying here in this article, and this is Clint Emerson, a retired Navy SEAL. He says, quote, "My first guess is there are potentially government programs kept within what's known as Special Access Program, which is purposely put together to keep even the most cleared people out. It truly is to keep it secret." Well, now you're telling the newspaper and I'm telling the world, so it's not secret. Oh my goodness. So Emerson said it's impossible to know what the drones might be doing, but he suspects the secret is the technology they're carrying, not the devices themselves. Again, maybe something that should not be said publicly because I'm repeating it. It could be different types of collection capabilities, so different types of cameras like high definition, infrared, or thermal. A second payload, for instance, could be hardware that grabs all the cell phone data in a given environment. So is this for us to gather data on us or others? Interesting stuff. How much data can we collect with this? So let's say we got 10 drones and they fly in a grid, which is something we've seen. How much cell phone traffic can we pick up? Not actual conversations, but just the signature of millions of cell phones. What can 10 drones pick up going over an area? That's a legitimate test, he said. They're not invading your privacy. That's legitimate data. And that's an effing capability. That is the quote. So this is interesting because it seems like it's just a new way to get a quota done, like without us filling out the census. Is it for us? Or is it for information gathering purposes? But on whom? Is this from us? Is this our state or federal government? Is it something extraterrestrial and we're just all ignoring it like it is Earth made and they're not out there? Again, take this all with a grain of salt. But what they're saying is that New Jersey is the best place to do these tests because it is the country's most densely populated state. So Emerson goes on to say that would be my number one guess. It's a very closely held program, and they're doing what they need to do to ensure their technology actually works. The weirdest part, if that's what it is the people running it wouldn't have to say a word. The beauty of a special access program is they're kind of in their own lawless little world, Emerson said. They can do whatever they want and they don't have to tell anybody. Kelly McCann, a security expert and former Marines Special Missions officer who worked with the Office of Naval Research, echoed Emerson's comments and said he thinks the government is testing out some sort of operational capacity. It's weird how we're supposed to have control of the skies, but this is going on and no one is saying shit, says McCann, a frequent Fox News contributor, told the Post. I don't buy it. Tech exists to drop one or all of them, and they haven't BS. This is really interesting. That's likely not much comfort to New Jersey politicians who are dealing with swarms of complaints about the low flying devices. GOP Rep. Chris Smith, who represents a wide swath of South Jersey, said Monday that state residents deserve a swift and bold action by the government to address the situation. Understandably, New Jersey residents are very alarmed at this significant and recurring phenomenon, and the tepid response from our state and federal agencies so far is totally unacceptable, Smith said in a statement. As we saw with the Chinese spy balloon, I brought this up a while back. Last year, our fiercest adversaries will stop at nothing to surveil our homeland and threaten our national security. Meanwhile, State Senator John Bramnick, a Republican from the state's 21st legislative district, said Tuesday that New Jersey should issue a limited state of emergency, banning all drones until the public receives an explanation regarding these multiple sightings, according to a statement on the GOP Senate Republicans website. Well, that's interesting, but I don't know how that's actually going to help. I really don't, how you can ban a drone in New Jersey. So, I mean, these are multiple drones at once. It's not just like one drone and someone flying around to look in the woods or look over an abandoned house or over their own house. These are multiple drones. So the article goes on to say on Monday, the governor told Fox News that he doesn't blame people for being frustrated, but reiterated there seems to be no threat. Well, that's true. We're all still here. No one was harmed. That's a good thing. And it goes on to say we see no evidence, and this includes Homeland Security, the FBI, Secret Service, our state police, and authorities at all levels of government. The most important point to say is we don't see any concern for public safety. Again, that's a good thing. Okay. Having said that, it's really frustrating that we don't have more answers about where they're coming from and why they're doing what they're doing. He continued, adding that there were 49 drone sightings on Sunday night, and these things were huge. They were the size of cars. Murphy added that he spoke to the White House and Homeland Security officials on Sunday and is hoping we will get answers sooner than later. They are apparently very sophisticated, he said about the aircraft. The minute you get eyes on them, they go dark. We're obviously most concerned about sensitive targets and critical infrastructure. The feds, who have said they're investigating the sightings, appeared similarly worried, and the Federal Aviation Administration has restricted drone flights over Picatinny Arsenal in Morris County and the Trump National Golf Course in Somerset. I heard that they were flying over Bedminster and stuff. Really an incredible sight to see because we don't know who they are. It could absolutely be anyone or anything. But no one in local or federal law enforcement has put forward a motive for the nightly flights, even as witness videos flood the internet. Unfortunately, we don't have many answers, and we don't want to guess or hypothesize about what's going on, FBI spokeswoman Amy J. Thorson told NewJersey.com last week. We're doing all we can to figure it out. So, who out there has a theory? Who out there has any sort of a theory about what this could be? Do you think that it's a private citizen? Do you think that it's state or local or federal government? Do you think that it's from out of this world? Do you think that it's part of this prediction? I mean, it's very odd that this prediction, it gave the specific date of December 3rd, but had it just said December 2024, that vague, we'd all be like, oh my God, this is real. And it is real. We are seeing drones in the sky. So I'm going to do a live dive because I believe the Pentagon is briefing the White House about the UFOs. Let's see if I am correct. Yes, okay. So I've got Pentagon finally admits it's stumped by the UFO sightings, and that is from 2 days ago. So that would be December 9th. And this story is by Alan Rose Hill. And they're basically just saying it's definitely not all just drones and UAS, unmanned aircraft system. So we have several particularly interesting cases we're working on within the office, working with our partners to downgrade several of those cases so we can talk about them publicly. But they are interesting cases. And I, with my physics and engineering background at the time, in the IC intelligence community, I do not understand, and I don't know anyone else who understands that either. And this comes from Dr. John T. Koloski. He is the new head of the U.S. Defense Department's All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office that is responsible for investigating UFOs, or as they are called now, UAPs. So there is some realness to this. There is some, something is going on. And they are baffled, absolutely baffled. So, we're even talking just last month, the Pentagon report on UFOs, including hundreds of reports on new incidents. So I'm just doing another quick live dive, and I'm just making sure of what's happening here. Let's see. So, according to Real Clear Politics from the Pentagon, they are saying there is no Iranian mothership launching drones over New Jersey, so it's not anything that scary. Let's see. Iranian mothership. We have no evidence that these activities are coming from a foreign entity or are the work of an adversary, said Pentagon spokesperson Sabrina Singh. These are not U.S. military drones. Again, this is being investigated by local law enforcement. Our initial assessment is that these are not drones or activities coming from a foreign entity or adversary. And this is in response to Representative Jeff Van Drew's claim that there was an Iranian mothership off the coast of the United States launching these drones. Apparently, that is false information. But this is really interesting because I've put up some pictures of a couple of craft over my home, and one of them was a triangular shaped craft. And we did see some of those flying over parts of New Jersey in clips on the internet. Now, I don't know which are made here or there, what they're flying over here for, what the meaning of all of this is. I'm saying that I find this incredibly interesting that this prediction made by WebBot, a computer program, back in 2009, I mean that's 14 years ago, has actually come true. It is absolutely amazing. So let me know out there, have you had an experience? Have you seen anything in the sky that you can't explain? Have you had a close encounter of the first, second, or third kind? Do you even believe in any of this stuff? Did you believe before all of these craft in the sky? Did seeing these craft in the sky make you a believer? Or are you still a complete skeptic and you just think it's a bunch of people who decided to get together and launch a bunch of drones and freak a bunch of people out? I mean, there are so many ways this can go. But if you've ever seen Close Encounters of the Third Kind, if you've ever read anything about Project Blue Book or even had seen the series that was on the History Channel, you'll know about Close Encounters of the Third Kind. And I think I'm going to have to do a little bit of a deep dive into that particular movie and the history, the dark history behind it. So now I've got a comment here. This is awesome. Yes, I have, but they came from under my house. I guess the ground. Oh, this is awesome. Oh, and your tag is RH negative chick. Hello. Oh, I know all about the RH negative. Are your eyes green? Do you have green eyes with the RH negative blood? Hi. That is what I find so interesting because there is the RH negative blood and the green eye. Oh, you do have green eyes. There is that connection. I have hazel covered eyes, and I actually don't even know my blood type, which is so strange. I should find that out one day. But that is RH negative blood is supposed to have an extraterrestrial DNA to it, which I find to be so fascinating because it says we all come from the stars. And, the earth is made from the same stuff as the stars, if you want to put it mildly. We're all made of the same minerals. So I believe that some of our DNA from the stars still lives in us. And then, of course, there are those of us that still have ancient Neanderthal DNA, and that's still part of the stars. That's part of this earth. So we're all connected to it, and everyone in between, their DNA is sort of the bridge. I'm getting all Darwin on us here now, but I love all this stuff, and I love to philosophize. If you guys are Bill and Ted, excellent adventure fans, I am a philosophizer. But these drones to me, and I think to many people, are what's the word that I'm looking for? Validation. These drones are validation for many people over the years who have seen craft, who have had experiences, who have been afraid to talk about their experiences for fear of rejection and ridicule. And now we're in this part of the world where we're seeing things we don't know how to explain in the sky. And the funny thing is, we talk about this from ancient times. I have been watching Ancient Aliens forever. Don't play the drinking game when ancient alien astronaut theorists say yes and take a shot. You will be wasted in 5 minutes. But, they have all of these theories about how all of these ancient temples got the technology to build so beautifully. Where did the designs come from? Why are they all so similar? Why do all of these ancient temples have 3 doors? What is with 3? I'll show you guys here. I have a 3 tattooed on my wrist. That's my number. It's just significant to me. And this is interesting. So RH negative chick is saying these beings came up like a tornado. It was a force. RH Negative Chick, if you want to email me at welcome to the den podcast at gmail.com, we can talk, and we can talk about this on my podcast, and you can really like give me the story if you'd like to. That would be amazing. So, just to hear your side of it, because I, in last week's show, was talking about personal, not my personal experience, but I got firsthand experience from people seeing the lights in the sky over Bullville, Route 302 Bullville in the 80s. And there were a couple of other stories of being chased by what they thought were helicopters, but they were not helicopters in the sky. They were something else. And this is in the Pine Bush area of New York State, which is the UFO capital sighting, or was at least until New Jersey and Philly and parts of Staten Island have seen all these drones. But this was back in the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s when people didn't have cameras. Lots of people in the area got together and saw these craft in the sky, these lights in the sky, but no one had a camera on them. And even if you did, it was a 35 millimeter camera. So there was no way you were capturing anything that quickly. But back to these particular drones, we are living in the age of Aquarius now. Pluto has officially entered Aquarius, and it's staying for another very long time. What was in the dark will come to light. And if you know what the Buddha says, 3 things cannot stay hidden: the sun, the moon, and the truth. So stay tuned for a lot of truth, both good and bad, that we're going to love and hate. But it's happening, it's coming. Be prepared. Keep your mind open to all possibilities and to accept things you never thought you would accept before. And with that, you guys, if you liked this content, please go ahead and follow along, subscribe, share. Check out my website, check out the podcast, everything on Spotify and YouTube. Spotify does have slightly different content, you guys. I go deeper into conspiracy theories on Spotify than I do on YouTube, but all of these TikTok lives are on Spotify and YouTube, as well as the Daily Dive in 5. So thank you guys so much for joining me in the Den, the Dark Entertainment Network. I am the Gothic Rose, and I will see you on the next episode.